Yeah. Welcome to URF Tone Tuesday.
Hey.
Elon to check in, represent URF Tone,
Yeah,
NIC.
I usually started out with a mix, so I feel like I should beatbox or something like.
Yeah, it's something. We mellow. We on the mellow thing today. We just, we got a lot going on. You can obviously see, although I've blurred my background. I'm playing in an away game situation right now. Doing some house sitting, some dog sitting for some friends, and I know you just came back from a little travel of your own.
Yeah, I just got back from Guadalupe, Mexico, DJing out there. Yeah, man. I was telling you earlier, man. I think I literally DJ'd the wedding of the year. I don't want to say it because we still got a year left. But
hey, that's all right to set the bar, though.
This one was major.
That's okay.
It's funny, man, because let me toast to that. This is wedding of the year so far. I'll say that. It's crazy because I always say like DJs can't make people dance. Like, I sometimes I get people that are like, hey, can you make an announcement to get people to dance? I'm like, I mean, when does that work? Past the 5th or 6th grade, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can't make people dance. But what I can do is, if you come to party, if you come with the mind frame of like, we're about to turn up tonight, I can provide the perfect soundtrack for you to party to. So it's like, if you come with that mindset, I'll come with the music. But if you don't come with that mindset, it's like trying to make somebody dance at a funeral. Like, it's like, nah, man, I'm not feeling that. So
I mean,
go ahead.
Everything you described. So much of my contributions to URF Tone's conceptualization were born from my own wedding, which, you've spoken highly of, and at least for 2019, I'll say it was the wedding of the year that year. You know what I'm saying? So like, and when I speak of those conceptualizations and the picture that you are painting from, the road work you just came back from, like, that's everything. It's you combine the elements of the right people with a sort of like positive, present, fun spirited, you know what I mean, well-intended, etc. That kind of makeup of people who get down, right? The DJ is right. So when I went recruiting you for URF Tone, I knew the DJ had to be right. This is really just the music that I like. My mindset is, we're gonna get on and do our show and all that, and we'll do call and response and make it fun. But I really want for people to enjoy your work, and I really want for our music to sort of be the entry point to like come to this space. Now watch my man get down, because if you don't know, you about to enjoy this one. You know what I'm saying? So. But everything you described, like, it's the right thing. But please take it away. Sorry for interrupting.
No, we was chopping it up. Rachel and I was chopping it up about like we was trying to think of any other reason outside of myself that it was so turned up. Because I'm talking about like, obviously with a wedding, you got to get through all the formalities and the minor events, and so you're building up to that. And it's like this wedding went to like. When the dance floor opened, it was like from the time we played the first song to I played Lovely Day at the end, and everybody singing every word of each song. Everybody like the end, like you get you get the applause. Like a lot of DJs will know what that feeling feels like, where the lights come on and people is just like, I could go for another hour if you want to play, but if you don't play anymore, this was like a full arc of like, bravo, you did your thing, and it was great. So I was like, when we was coming home, we was coming off of that high of just like, man, that was like, that was crazy.
I love that you got to experience that, and that got to be a takeaway as, someone who's there in a working capacity. Like, it's easy to be a guest, kind of get loose, have you a drink, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of like fall into the moment and be like, yo, that was amazing or whatever. But for the fact that you got to see it with this clear lens, and I know how seriously you take your work, like, so I know you wouldn't, you know what I mean, like do anything where you're out of bounds or outside of yourself. So the fact that you were able to see this through the clear lens with the mindset of there in the work, capacity, like, and still be like, yo, that was a good one right there. Like that's really cool. That's a testament to a well orchestrated event.
Well, it's like when back in the day when you used to perform under the moniker of Icon, and I was just your humble DJ, in the back, and but we would have our rallying cry, and we would come together, and we would be like, because that's when we was on our grind. We was grinding. And we would be like, yo, whether it's 5 people or 5,000, we want to have a consistency of a show.
Yeah.
And I think that for a DJ, when you're going into a wedding, it's the same thing. Like, you got a captive audience, because most of the time with a wedding, it's not like you promoted it. You don't have to promote it. It's, you're going to have a captive audience no matter what. So, I'm going to do the same job. I'm going to have the same level of professionalism no matter what, because I know this is a special day for my clients, my couples. But there are these certain weddings, like yours was, this one was, where you start to feed off the energy, as we got a single called Energy. You know how that energy is infectious. So when you see the crowd getting a little bit more engaged, you like, oh, I'm about to hit them with this. And you start, and it gives you like, the only thing I could tell you is like from a athletic or a basketball stand, it's like when you hitting everything.
Oh yeah.
Like, let me just heat check right now. Like,
yeah.
3 feet from behind the line, and you like, oh, I'm wet tonight, man. Like,
Can you recall what your 3 feet behind the line song was? Your moment? I'd love to know, because when it so for example, you play, and I'm gonna just say this for the most generic audience sense and all that. You go into you play some Bruno Mars, you play some Drake, you play something. People are like those songs are meant to make you move and all that. But then you play, you know what I mean? You play like track 7 off of some album that came out in 1996, and everybody, but it's like, yo, that we needed to hear that right now. Like, that's got to be a moment, man. That's got to be a cool moment where it's like, yo, I didn't go for the, you know what I mean? Like the home run swing, and lo and behold, like this thing out the park,
It's songs that I play, in different chunks, and said this particular wedding was interesting because it was like the groom obviously was African American. The bride, I wouldn't say obviously, but the groom was African American. The bride
obviously was me, because I know.
was Latin, and Puerto Rican at that. So it was like it wasn't Mexican, it was East Coast, kind of like they wanted like some East Coast flavor.
Yeah.
And then they wanted,
which you're good for.
What's that?
Which you're good for, but to that end, you're also good for like if the clientele is Mexican and they want to get into more culturally specific joints. Like I know you got that in the bag too.
Yeah, you already know. I mean, I'm out here in Cali, so you got to be able to. You got to have a good Mexican playlist that you can play, and then and again, not all Mexicans are the same, so it's not that either. But it's just like,
but there's songs, there's heavy hits.
There's heavy hitters, exactly. So, with that said, like they wanted Afro beat, they wanted reggaeton, they wanted reggae. They wanted, and then the age demographic, they wanted some old school stuff. Like they wanted I Got Five on it, but then they also, you know what I mean? They wanted like El General, that kind of stuff. So it was like, it was a lot. So anyway, I would say it's not necessarily the song that I played that was like, I got it, but it's like a song that I would normally play, but everybody is singing it. So I played Biz Markie. I played Biz Markie, Just a Friend.
Right.
And then I played Killing Me Softly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
it's like everybody is singing every single word. You know what I mean? Like nobody going to get drinks. Everybody is out on their floor. I'm talking about moms to the aunties to and you just like, oh man, I'm in my zone. I'm in my bag right now. I know they're in their bag, so I could play anything right now. I mean, Lovely Day. I'm playing Lovely Day by Bill West, and they like singing every word. So it was a good event.
That's dope, man. I mean, you had to do the work. You had to get on the plane, take your wife with you for some added support, extra set of hands, etc. The fact that you got to come away with this is a beautiful fringe benefit. You know, the groom in the equation is a friend, so like I'm more than happy to hear it because you know, just on some well wishes type stuff. That's incredible.
Here's what we came away with. So we was trying to think of any reason outside of myself that the event was good.
Oh yeah.
We referenced your wedding. We was like, do you think it's just destination weddings? Because this was a destination, yours was a destination, and maybe people feel like I don't have to go to work the next day. I'm not on any time schedule. I'm away from anything that would inhibit me just getting completely loose.
Yes. You know what I mean? Think like I gotta go get the sitter. I gotta, you know, all the home things that are the weights that we carry on our minds and shoulders.
I don't even have to drive back because it's either gonna be a shuttle or I'm staying on the resort. You know, it's like, so I think everybody was like, the drinks was flowing better. The everybody was like, I ain't got nowhere to be. All I gotta do is be here and turn up. So we're like, yeah, maybe we need to start kind of like, when people come to me for advice, you know, because I get clients sometimes that's like, man, we don't know when we getting married. We don't know where we getting married. We just know we want a dope ass DJ, or we want, like, what's your schedule like for the next year? And I'll tell them, and they're like, all right, cool. We got our DJ book. Now we'll go look for where we going. I think I'm gonna start telling people like, yo, you might highly want to consider doing.
Get up out of Dodge, man.
What's that?
I said, get up out of Dodge. Like, let your mind be free and all that. Like, that was very much a part of our consideration when we said, let's get up out of here, take it somewhere else, so people don't have the weight of their worlds on their minds and on their conscious at our thing. We want everybody as present as possible. We targeted Thursday as our wedding. It was a Thursday. So because we were like, look, if we do Thursday, whoever comes, they're not going back to work on Friday. You know what I mean? They're going to be with us at least that one more day. Maybe they travel back Saturday so they could give themselves the weekend to adjust back into the normal thing for. But like, let's get the wedding, like we treated it like almost like, let's get this thing over with so we can be free and we can be with the family. It just so happened the wedding was like, because of the spirit and the energy of the people around, we got to be free anyway. But we were looking at it like, man, like this is going to be, you know, obviously she has to wear the dress that she looked amazing in, and I got to put the suit on and feel stuffy in. And, you know, so it's like, yo, let's get that formality through and then laugh and play with our friends and our family for the rest of that weekend. You know, the destination thing, I cannot encourage it enough.
Now y'all did it right, man. And that's what we were saying. We're like, man, this might be the way to go, because it's almost like you're in celebratory mode because obviously y'all getting married, but then all of your guests immediately are like, we celebrating. We're on a mini vacation. Like this, you get couples that's even in attendance rekindling, they spark of love and just like, okay, this is something like, let's just, like you said, we ain't got no kids. We're away from all responsibility.
Man, I got funky tensions in my family that I saw. Not like I didn't see. I'm not going to overstate and say the destination thing cured and resolved those tensions. But those tensions, anytime there's something where a bigger family is involved, everybody feels them. Mm-hmm. It's like it's too thick, you know what I mean? So it's like everybody can feel it and it affects everybody's good time. In this case, like I think they were so respectively and independently, they were so just like lost in the whole thing that they got to be happy. Like, and I saw them even give a quick dap and go their separate way to say, you know, hey, and you know, that was a reflection I cannot stress that enough. So long as, but you know, to your client's credit, the people were right, and everything else,
Yes.
you know, everything else kind of builds off of that. And man, salute them. Salute you for yet another job well done. Meanwhile, meanwhile, back home, I'm gonna just throw. I'm gonna throw this one on. Let's see what it do with the volume. All right, so put that down a little bit. So I'm playing with the features on our little screen thing, but around. Meanwhile, back home, there was a lot of conversation, and I know you were away and you were on the clock, so to speak. So I don't know what kind of like noise you're hearing on the hip hop front. Another DJ Khaled, dropped a project like he always does. It's an ensemble. It's a collective village effort. He enlists the who's who at any given time. You know what I mean? And it stayed true to his normal formula. Legendary, you know, currently popping and so on. And there's conversation about King Hov, man. And his bar work on God Did. Rick Ross and Lil Wayne came through with some nice 16s as far as I'm concerned. And Hov came. Apologies for that. Hov came through and did what he does. I don't know what the bar count is, but it was a lot more than 16. He had a lot to say. It seemed like he kind of used the opportunity and the platform and was moved by the music enough to say, I'm gonna go to work. So he did. Before it all came out, Khaled was doing his press runs as he should. You know, it's all a part of the process. And he was like, this is as good a verse as Jay has ever put down. This is going to be in the discussion for any verse of Jay-Z's that may be in consideration for his best work. This will be in that conversation.
I feel like I'm about to get in trouble. I almost feel like
no. I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Okay.
These are the things that happen.
No, I was plugged in. I listened to I listened to the whole project.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What was your there's that conversation. I think that conversation, this is my feeling, has a way of finding its way into the social narrative. So now the social narrative, you got celebrity types, you know. I mean, Jay-Z, for every righteous reason, is a highly respected figure. His work is incredible, etc. But then, you know, given his stature, so when the work comes, so now you got Khaled building, right? The anticipation. The song is nice. You know, Jay does what he does. Now the Twitters and the Instagrams and the TikToks or whatever, everyone's kind of like, yo, my mind's. It feels like celebrity figures with wider platforms kind of pick the torch that Khaled was putting out before the album dropped and running with it. I don't know. It was great work. I don't know what constitutes that. Maybe it's because people have been deprived of hearing Jay for a while, and so it's really great. And I'm speaking from somebody.
No, Ela, don't do it, man. If I feel like you are trying to almost be politically correct.
No, I'm not. I'm always trying to be thoughtful. I'm not trying to be politically correct about it. I am always trying to be.
Yes, that's thoughtful. A better word.
Yeah, I just want to make sure whatever I'm saying is an accurate reflection of my feeling and not just going crazy on one side or the other. It was ass, but everyone, you know what I mean? So
that's me.
That's you. That's you.
We
feel
are
like
on phone, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm the crazy one. I
Yeah.
jump out the window.
Yeah.
Ela reels me back in. But go ahead.
Not even. It's like, it's just so people go crazy. Take the narrative like, yo, this might be some of his best work of all time. And I'm like, it's not, and it's great, and that's okay. That's my feeling. It's my feeling. Like, it's not some of his best work of all time. It's like when somebody, like, if somebody bring up Steph Curry to me and I'm like, yo, he might be Rushmore. I'm like, no, Steph Curry is like probably an top 15 player all time. Mm-hmm. And they go, he not Rushmore. I'm like, yo, I just said he might be the top 15 basketball player of all time. Is that not good enough? You want him to be one of four? He's not one of four. Sorry. Like, but being a top 15 player of all time is an incredible feat. Jay-Z's work on his verse was real nice. It was real nice. He's Hov. He's the king. Bow, respect. You know what I'm saying? Everything. But it's like it's hyperbole. You know, we just get caught up in these moments now, and there's like a wave that goes like this and like this, no matter what the conversation is. It's like, yo, R. Kelly's the worst. It's like, nah, he's not the worst. You got to understand, he was, had problems. It's like, Jay-Z was been dragged and stuff before social media. It's just these but social media amplifies these narratives. So sounds like you don't think it was an all-time Hov verse either.
No, and I'm glad you went first on that one. I'm actually, in hindsight, because I think I would have jumped out the window and you would have had to reel me back in. Yes, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you went first, because now that brought some levity to how I was about to answer this question. Yes, I thought it was a good verse. I think Jay-Z is it's like,
sorry about that. Let me hit mute while I'm on dog duty.
It's all good.
I'm gonna hit mute. You go.
Yeah. No, it's like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, like you said, they scored 20 points in a game, and we're just like, oh my God, like that's a good game in the NBA. A 20-point game, that's 5 points a quarter. That's a great game in the NBA. But we're so used to them dropping 40s and 50s and having these crazy moments that we start looking at a 20-point game and being like, I mean, they pretty much had a bad game. So by me saying this or you saying this about Jay-Z, I totally agree. I thought it was a good verse. I think the song was a 7-minute song. I think he rapped for 4.5 of the 7 minutes of the song. Like it's like because you got to look at it. Rick Ross does a 16.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne does a 16.
And its BPMs are mellow too. So yeah.
And Jay-Z goes for the rest of the song.
Yeah.
I think he does about 3 or 4 minutes of the 7-minute song. So he's spitting, but he's barring up.
Yeah.
He's a professional rapper. So even his that's why I made the analogy. Even his bad raps, even his mediocre raps are going to be great. They're going to be great because he's never going to put anything out there half-ass. He's always going to bring his authentic self to his work. And that's what people really, I think, respond to, is authenticity. Him being vulnerable, him being, really expressing. Me personally, we talk about this all the time. I have a problem with, people that kind of came up in that gangster era. And now they've evolved to be business people or understand the industry more, and they're still rapping about the same thing that they became famous for. And again, somebody that I really love and respect, Ice Cube, but sometimes he'll come out and do that America's Most Wanted type rap, and I'm like, Cube, why don't you rap about you starting Cube Vision and being a billionaire and how you get from point A to point B? Like, and I'm not saying do what Jay-Z is doing, but we know you're not in the streets like that. Like, you're not outside like that no more. So it just, those kind of rappers frustrate me.
Yeah.
And so with Jay-Z, I kind of feel like, it was great. It was great to catch him in this moment. He was definitely stunting. He was on the stunt talk. I wish Khaled wouldn't have done what he did, because I feel like it's like somebody hyping up a movie.
I hate hype.
it never lives up to the anticipation. So when I heard it, I was expecting like, oh man, this is about to be better than Reasonable Doubts. This is about to be better than the Reasonable Doubts first. Like, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
And then I heard it and I was like, yeah, it was good. Like, it was great.
It's real good work. Yeah. It is. It's like you said, man. LeBron gets 28, 8-8. Like that is elite level work.
Right.
It's not LeBron's best game. It's elite level work, but it's incredible that somebody can do that. Yet, like, it feels like there's a through line between this one and Dear Summer. Because
okay.
Dear Summer, Hov was retired. Now, in this case, Hov obviously isn't retired and hasn't made any kind of declaration, but that conversation was just thrown around. He sat down with Kevin Hart. That conversation was about retiring or whatever. It's like, what's that look like for you? He's like, well, I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not active, but at the same time, I would never say again that I'm retired and so. But it just felt like because that kind of thing was floating around in our consciousness, right? The fact that he came through and delivered like this was like, it is special, but it is very on brand of Khaled to be enthusiastic, and he was every bit of enthusiastic. But like Dear Summer, like, oh, that's better work to me, that was better work to me. So when he came and did Dear Summer, and it was like, yo, you supposed to have disappeared, we go together like Nike Airs and Chris T's, all that. Like, he did that. I was like, oh man, like, bro, I remember feeling the willies, man. It's crazy.
10 Jay-Z songs that hit me harder than this song. Like, just now again, was he truth talking? Was he truth spitting? Yes. And I love that about where he's at and his evolution, and that he's not trapped in the Reasonable Doubts. But it's like, just from a rap perspective, like, here's what you got to do sometimes. I feel like this is just me. If Jay-Z wasn't Jay-Z, if he was a new rapper and this was the first verse and the first time you ever heard him spit, the first time, you have nothing to judge him on Friday, would you listen to this verse and be like, yo, this is the dopest verse I've ever heard? Like, this is like the flow pattern, the wordplay, the metaphors. Would you be like, yo, this cat is the dopest rapper I've ever heard in my life? Would you say that about this particular song?
That is a question for the audience, and I leave it alone. But yeah, I fully respect what you're saying. Like, treat it in a vacuum.
Yes,
treat it in a vacuum.
And then you got to step outside the vacuum and say, I understand it's Jay-Z and everything that he brings to the table as well. So that has to be played into it as well. I get, so just to bring levity to everything, you got to say, okay, in a vacuum, what would it be? And then because of the person who it is, the moment, the time and everything, now what is it? You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you something. And only because I feel like I probably killed both of them last week when we talked about the game and Eminem. Which I tend to do. M's verse on this Khaled project was real dope.
Really?
I thought it was really dope.
Wow.
I thought
wow.
It was wow. For him.
That was not my listening experience.
Yeah, I thought it was. I like what he was talking about for M. Well, see, first of all, I don't like the Slim Shady character. I hate when he becomes a character.
Like,
how
do you feel about when Kendrick goes to that space? Okay, now open your mind up and listen to me, Kendrick.
I don't mind it as much.
I think my favorite character was probably Biggie and Gimme the Loot, and then second to that was Damien and DMX's Damien. I don't love the pitchy character people. I don't. No. I mean, I get it, and I think it's hella creative and dope. You know what I mean? But just when I'm getting my vibe and everything. It's like, you know, somebody, you know, is like, you know, but the one that give me the loop, you know what I mean? You're right.
Yeah, no, but you know, it seems like a hype, a calm and a hype version of the same person. I almost kind of feel like that a little bit with Kendrick. I feel like with Eminem, when he does the Slim Shady character, he's becoming a cartoonish character, and I don't like that. This is preference. I know it's going to be a bunch of Eminem fans out there that love just everything he does. I'm just saying, for me, it doesn't appeal to me. My favorite songs by Eminem are like Stan and like you know, what's the I am whatever you say.
I sit like back that, with this pack because he said man, that was crazy bar work though.
Yikes. That is probably my favorite Eminem song. To tell you the truth.
It's up there for me too.
Yeah. And he don't do no silliness on that song. He just bar up, and I just love that, you know. So like, to me, whenever M is like serious rapping, it's like that's the M I like. So again, I'm not saying this is best work. I'm just saying I like this M on this Khaled record. I like that M because I was like, oh man, he kind of went to a deep spiritual place. Like I'm glad he cracked that Pandora's box open and kind of went there with it.
You had me listen back and listen maybe more closely. I didn't like it, and I think I was more distracted. Like I remember, like, you know, having a conversation with, you know, my wife, because that's my road dog. We in the house together, you know what I'm saying? Like we listen separate and then come back, you know, and speak on it. And the emotion that was created by the sound bed, which I learned in the viral videos afterward, that was Dre and Kanye. That's a magical, you know, moment. Like, what a blessing. I'm taking a step back. What a blessing to be able to like have access to those moments. You know what I mean? And you know, I have my gripes on social media. That's a really cool thing to see. It's like these, you know, genius level, generation finding type of talents. You know, as music makers, creators, producers, like Dre and Kanye having that moment, and Drake letting them know how that drum coming. You know what I'm saying? That was a cool thing to see. They're going this place, right? And I couldn't even get into the words with M because M is, I think I may have made this reference last week. He's doing like, it's like if Kim Burrell is gonna solo right out the gate, it's like, you know what I mean? She gonna run out the gate. It's like, yo, this is a little overwhelming. I need you to establish a melody and then let me appreciate
the moments.
Let me appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, it's like he's out the gate with a little bit of the zany as far as his cadence goes. And funny enough, it was the Slim Shady character that I referenced, but I was only not because of Slim Shady specifically. It was only like the older work. So I'm talking to my wife, you know, and I'm like, yo, he used to like swag out in the pocket. Now, in his defense, a lot of people like, and I made the reference. So, but the music complemented that, right? It wasn't emotional music. It was ba-do-dum, da-do-dum, da-do-dum, da-boom, bam, and hi kids, do you like violent? Like, so, but he's here. He's with the bounce, right? He don't got the bounce no more. Everything is like, yo, I am going to hit this gate and I'm going to go not even 0 to 100. I'm going to go 100 and stay at 100. And it's incredible. It's incredible that you can do that as a rapper. But it's also incredible that, you know, a unicyclist juggling and stacking plates on their head can do what they can do. But I don't need to see it that often. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to 3rd Street Promenade, I'm cool. Venice Boardwalk, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just wish he would, like, find a little bit of just the groove in the music, and then also insert what is brilliant about him is his ability to, like, you know, tie the words together, bend the words, make them make sense together, like that stuff. So when he's when everything else is just like, it's just here, you know what I mean? I'm just like, yo, Let's mellow out. Let me get with you. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even get into the words. That was my experience.
This is very interesting because we're about to pull the curtain back on Earth Tone a little bit. And this is a conversation that you and I have a lot, through our project. But, I'm like, I'm your biggest cheerleader. And I'm also sometimes forced to be your biggest critic.
Yeah, you Mickey. You Mickey. Yeah. When I'm trying to be Rocky, you Mickey. Yeah.
So I'll be like, yo, Ela, you can rap your ass off. Like we know, like, and so sometimes I feel like, and it's just, again, we have these conversations like, I'm going to listen to the beats before I listen to the lyrics. Then I'm going to dive into the lyrics. And so you're a lyric person. And so sometimes you're just spazzing out. And I'm like, man, like, yo, that's crazy. Like, and I'm conscious enough to appreciate it. I'm aware enough, like, yo, this dude can rap his ass off. And I'll be like, Ela, we got to pull it back. You know what I mean? Like, we got to pull it back. You be like, no, I'm killing these stills. I'm like, yo, I get it. But just, we got to pull it back. We got to find those moments. And I feel like now aside, I'm jump back to Eminem. Like, you feel like sometimes he's at this place now because of the criticism that he gets, that he has to he has this chip on his shoulder where he still has to almost kind of like prove to everybody, like, I am hands down the best lyricist alive. And now he's sacrificing those. Let me just be in that pocket and just be like, I can rap, man. I can, I don't have to.
I wonder what it is psychologically. He's on an island, right? Like MC Serge and Vanilla Ice, even the Beastie Boys stuff, they cannot. Diva, Peace Move, what up? Good people in the house. Let us know in the comments, by the way, if you guys are going to Real Ones on Sunday. I hope to be. I feel like I'm, majority percent. I don't know, 60, 70%, but more than likely. Okay, for a bit. Oh, they gotta put you on the post game DJ set to keep your presence. I see. So where was I?
We were talking about, like, does he have something to prove? We're talking about
So
project. We're talking about Eminem. We're talking about
space. He's in an extremely rare space, and he's been in a rare space. Like, no, it's just, I do, and I'm gonna say a white guy in a black art form and a black culture thing, right? So, but I do want to interject on that too, because there's Fat Joe's going through a lot, and I wanna weigh in on that too. Nobody's ascended to his heights. You know what I mean? Like in whatever's happening after him, I know Jack Harlow raked in. Oh, that's what's up, Paul. Coming in literally hot, because Palm Springs is gonna get you. But that's what's up, man. I'm more than likely in the house, and daps and hugs and I would love to exchange them with you guys. And are you rolling on Sunday?
No, I gotta work.
Man's gotta work, man. The food don't find its way to the mouth without the work. So
I'd love to be there, but I gotta work.
Yes, I know you would. Shout out to the Real Ones family. It's my favorite thing to do once a month, for real, truly. But he's just in this rare place, and he hangs his hat on his lyrical prowess, essentially, right? And the things that he was doing in 99 or whatever, 98, when he was first kind of coming into prominence, obviously a lot of time has passed since then. So people copy that, right? Like whatever Michael Jordan was doing, Kobe came, and then people copy Kobe. Like, the bar just gets raised the more these things evolve, whether it's hoop or hip hop or whatever. Like, people see what excellence is and they aspire to it, and they're doing it from the age of 6. Of course, they're gonna master the Slim Shady flow and the Stan flow and the whatever flow. So, like, he's like, yo, I have to continue to set myself apart lyrically. I don't know Eminem. I don't know Marshall Mathers or whatever, obviously, personally, you know, but I don't get, he's in this weird category. Like, I don't know Nasir Jones and I don't know Sean Carter, but he's in this weird category where those guys, to me, feel like they are exceptionally cool people. They're just cool. Like, the cool is like, you know, it's got the aura around them. They got the Bruce Leroy glow equivalent of cool, you know. And I don't know that M is necessarily a cool guy. I don't know that he's necessarily cool. So he's like, yo, the thing that's going to allow me to remain in my position, prominent, top dog type stuff, because he is. He put the song out with Snoop, who also lives up there, who also strikes me as very cool, is for me to say, I am going to go absolutely ballistic every time I'm on a track.
Yeah,
that's my thought.
But, and maybe this is a testament to that. It's very harder than people give it credit for.
Oh yeah. To
sit back and find a pocket to like when Nas did "Owe Me."
Yeah. That was a funky song signature and all that. Yeah.
Listen, man, that's not Nas. But that song is Nas. So that's my point. That's not Nas. That's not traditional Nas. But the way he came on that beat, he owned it, and he was willing to say, I ain't gonna just bar these cats to death. I'm gonna bar them, but I'm gonna make a song that's gonna make people dance.
That's important.
When Biggie does stuff like that, when Tupac does stuff like that, when Jay-Z does I Just Wanna, you know, you gotta kind of be like almost like, because you can go deep. We know all of these rappers can go deep into their bag of lyricism, but you almost got to say like, I'm gonna dumb it down for this particular purpose. You know what I mean? And you got to almost submit that for the betterment of the song, because you know people don't want to be in the club like, damn, ass metaphor. Like they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to hear your voice, the cadence of your voice, and rock out. Right. So to me, I feel like, is that the chink in Eminem's armor? Is he not able to do that? Is he not able to fall back and be like, let me just fall into this pocket and write a dope song?
I honestly don't think that's just, I don't think he can. And until I'm proven otherwise, because even his best attempts to make you dance is like, whoa, look like another club man. It's like, yo, that's so on the nose. Like, no. You know, and it's just, it's wacky, it's zany, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost for all like the, you know, the every other person who's in the club, because the person, every friend that wants to be in the club got the friend that don't. Thank you, Diva. Yeah. We always try here, Diva. Diva's on point. Every, you know, every friend that want to be in the spot, like you're 21, like a lot of your friends are from when you were, you know, whatever, like 16, or you could be 6 years old. It's like you learn, you get into an age where now you're of age and you could go out to this element, the club, where the dancing happens, where the, you know, little bit of the exchange, the flirts, the whatever. Some people find like, yo, this is where everybody's going. I'm a young person. I'm a young working person making money. I'm a college student. Whatever your story is, it's like, yo, I'm going to the club. Like that. This is where it's at. And a lot of people learn the club now for Eminem makes those people feel seen. I feel like it will look like a little girl.
It's funny because I was talking to SP this weekend, and we was talking about that. We happened to be at a wedding. And we were saying that like it's this group of DJs. This is on the other end of the spectrum. It's like it's these group of DJs that do like the DMC you know, competition, or like the 3 style or whatever. And yo, these cats can I'm telling you from a DJ's perspective, like they can scratch and beat juggle their ass off. I mean, but you look at them and you're like, You're not cool at all. You're the guy who just locked himself in a room and geeked out and nerded out off of doing a trick. But like if I put you in front of a crowd and I ask you to rock a crowd, like really, really in a club, just make people, you know what I mean? Like have a good time, and you couldn't use those tricks, you wouldn't be able to do it because you don't know people enough and you've never probably been invited to a party. I always say like really good rappers. Usually were really good dancers. Really good DJs were usually really good dancers. Like, because you understand what music does when it gets in your body and gets in and permeates your soul. And you like, oh, this is, I would be there. Oh, yo, this is, you know what I mean? Like, then you write from that perspective. You build your sets from that perspective. Like, if I was a dancer, I would want to hear this.
I mean, isn't that our conversations when we're cooking? Like, you're like, yo, as a DJ, I think X, Y, Z. Like, you are literally, putting the butter on your bread by observing people and playing music that is supposed to trigger like positive response. Right? Like you literally are watching the people and saying, all right, let me slide this joint on. They're moving a little bit. Let me do that one. Oh, they're moving a lot now. Okay. How do we, like, you've literally made your living off of like that observation. And so I think that's critical just to understand how people move. And honestly, I'm trying to be more and more cognizant of that evolving in my craft. Like what you said, you're absolutely right. We pulled the curtain back. Lyrically, I wanted to do my version of going all out. I will never claim to be as sophisticated lyrically as Eminem. So I hope even when I say like I don't agree with this technique, it should be understood like I admire his ability to take it to that level. It's not one of these things where I want to be like, yeah, if I wanted to do that, I'd do that too. It's like, no, that's not easy. Just like, juggling and putting plates on your head and riding a unicycle is not easy. I can't do it. Like,
and now listen, that goes for the beat jugglers and the scratchers that compete in the DMC. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. But it's like, but when we just want to move, like there's a sweet spot. And again, it's like we talk about the R&B from last week and all that. The R&B had the sweet spot at the end of the song, right? Like you establish your melody, verse 1. Now you elaborate a little bit on that melody, bend the note. You know this melody is what it is, so when I bend this note, it feels away. And then we finish out the A and B of the verse. Now we get into the hook. The hook obviously is a hook because it hooks you in. And then we get to the bridge. The bridge is over. Now we're going. No puns on whatever. But once that bridge is complete and we get into that final hook, and you start hearing that singer go, do all of this, their best work. You know what I mean? Whatever the best they can conjure up in the studio that day is on display. There's a reason for that. And then that's when us common folk are in the shower or in the car doing our best to hang with them. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't just go out running as a singer, Oh, I guess you can't listen. You can be Duke Ellington and you can be jazz if you want, but it's weird when it's mismatched when it's delivered in what is intended to be a pop song. Right? It's like it's intended to be a pop song. So like we're playing our own instrumental. We literally solicited jazz on this one, but the jazz was deliberate. The musician was deliberate. Everything was like, yo, we're gonna build to this thing. This is verse 3, so it's like, I don't know. There's a way to do it, and I admire it. But yeah, I think I always want to get lost in the cool. And so when I try to quote unquote do my version of spazzing out, and I said, listen, I'm gonna just make it clear right out the gate. URF Tone, we brand new, and this project, I'm gonna go nuts. I'm gonna go nuts. I did what I coined as downhill rap right out the gate. You know what I mean? We just gonna go downhill. Like there's no like little bitty build, and then get to it. It's like, I'm gonna just let you know what it is right out the gate. And at the same time, I did that under the guise of, I'm not that crazy. Like, I'm gonna just give you my best, and I'm not that crazy. I think I say good stuff, but like my cadences aren't like, I don't know, they're not like that sophisticated level of jazz where the musicians are getting sent to Paris because the Americans don't understand it. Like, it's not that. And at the same time, it's not like I'm not subscribing to the bubblegum. Which one of the Jackson 5 was the percussionist? Huh?
Tito, wasn't it?
It was Tito, whatever. I'm Tito or I'm Sheila E. Like, to me, I always feel like my stuff is percussion. Like, I was in the studio one time with Red Wine. Shout out to him, by the way. We traded some texts, caught up like recently. Yeah. In the studio, Red Wine, guy who produced Came to Do by Randy. There it is.
Thank you, sir.
That Michael's contemporary, right? The Red Wine was responsible for producing Came to Do by Chris Brown, responsible for I Love to Get Too On, or whatever the proper name is, by Tinashe. Like, so he got some stripes, and and when we were doing some work together, he would always try to tell me, hey, come to earth. Like, you're going a little bit, you're going left, but he would also be like, I view your voice, you rap like a drum. That's what he told me. And I took that shit to heart. Yeah, he's like, you sound like you're a drum. And then when he said that, I'm like, oh, I'm a percussion. And that's why, like, obviously us doing our thing, like, when we get to the final mix and master process, I'm like, yo, bring the vocals down. Like, it's cool. Our mixer, God bless his heart, our mixer always thinks like, I want to like shine. I don't ever want to deliberately shine. I want somebody to come find me. That makes sense. I want somebody to come see me. And I try to give enough to say, like, are you compelled? Does this pique your interest? Are you compelled to peel my layer back a little bit and get to know what I'm saying? If you're not, hopefully this serves as an instrument in the like ensemble of the music,
So all of that to say, you didn't appreciate Eminem's verse. I appreciated it.
Good. I'm gonna give it a harder listen, a second, third, whatever, harder listen.
I'll do the same, because again, I only gave the whole project a once over, so I didn't really dig deep. I couldn't get through the whole project. Yeah, I wanted to do that because I just wanted to kind of like, it was so much hype leading up to it that I just wanted to kind of give it a listen just in case we jumped into this. But I'll give it I'm giving M the benefit of the doubt because he jumped into. I love when rappers write things that aren't normal, they don't normally rap about, or start to be a little bit vulnerable, or you know what I mean, like that's I appreciate that. Like when you start to dive into, if all you talk is drug talk, like for example, one of my I like Pusha T. You're not as big a fan of Pusha T as I am. You know what I mean?
Don't put me on Front Street. That man, he takes names, man. I think he's good.
It's all good. I mean, again, I like him. You don't appreciate him as much as I do. Not saying you don't appreciate him, but you don't appreciate him as much as I do.
Sure.
But even me, being a Pusha T fan, is like, hey man, you got to talk about something more than just drug talk.
Yeah. Even Jay, right out the gate, as one of the, if not the trailblazer of all this, street hustler type conversation, talked about the evils, and expressed his remorse in his involvement. I'm a big T.I. fan as far as that is concerned.
I don't appreciate T.I.
Yeah. I don't. It's just like whatever works for you does, right? And so however T.I.'s, approach found me at the time of my life that it did, man. That thing, it's just like it was everything I needed to hear, and I feel like I was lacking in motivation. He's saying like, and ASAP and all that. I'm like, I gotta get after it. So whatever his mindset that he's applying to like emerging from poverty and just doing what he's got to do, it felt like it resonated with me. But you know, like Jay had the Evils and he's expressing remorse. T.I. had a song called "Doing My Job," and he, you know, it was the same as, you know, Biggie at the beginning of Juicy, just like saying this is for everybody who was kind of like hating on me hustling. I was trying to make some money to feed my daughter. You know, it's like the same idea. It's like the human aspect. But I don't know Push's catalog, to your point as well, to say, oh, you know, like he you know, he got to that vulnerable place. So I definitely defer to you. And if you say so, like if he just keeps it with the hard shell, that hard external shell, like,
I mean,
you know,
he has his moments, but I feel like everybody has to have, like, listen, I like T.I. on the same level as Tupac. You know what I mean? Like, so it's that there's some songs that I absolutely love by T.I. There's some songs by Tupac that I absolutely love, but I wouldn't consider myself, like, when people are like, yo, I'm a Tupac fan, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not, you know what I mean? But there's some songs that I'm like, yo, that's something. Like, I just posted one of his songs the other day to my, you know what I mean, like a story that I was at, like, you know, it's When My Homies Call or something like that. Like one of my favorite Tupac songs. I love that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And T.I. is the same way. So it's just, you know, I'm sure there's some vulnerable moments that Pusha T, you know, has, but overall, he's like, all the songs is like super heavy drug talk, and I'm like, man, you know, come on, man, I need something else. You know what I mean? So like, that's just me. So I'm again. Verse, I'm just happy he kind of stepped out of his.
You like what he expressed, and I was thinking about I guess the approach, you know, not lyrical approach, but sort of just the musical approach or whatever to the track.
Yeah. All right. So
Fat Joe. And I talked about Eminem existing in damn, Paul, are you like N.I. with the I don't want to say Tupac 8, but like I know everybody. I know it's not. I'm
not a fan. I'm just.
I know it's not. I know it's not. So I'm walking that back. I'm just out loud thinking right now, like you are just you're in this rare like minority of people who don't, you know, put Pac way high on that crazy pedestal. 100. Whew, boy. All right. I'm gonna give you a dap with reservations on Sunday.
Great. Thank you. I start to feel crazy for a second because people be like, yo, Biggie and Tupac, and I'll be like, the greatest rapper all time, and I'll be like, hold up, man. Like,
hold on. Let me get to Paul real quick. Please don't tell me that was the first date. Because if that was the first date, and please don't tell me you were interested. Was it a first date?
Yeah, man.
Let us know if that was a first date. Like, you can't listen. It's like unless, for example, I don't know what my hot take opinion is. Like, for example, let's say like for some reason like I didn't like Michael Jackson or something crazy, and I went on a first date. This would be my test thing, right? But I want to know if I don't know what I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is crazy contrarian that way, right? Like to denounce Tupac in any way is controversial. You guys understand that. He understands that. You understand it. It's like it's dicey, right?
It's dicey.
Like, I use Michael Jackson as a hypothetical example. I love MJ, right? So, but I'm just saying, like, if I was on a first date and I wanted to check the temperature of that person with like, are you going to be okay with me through and through? I might tee it up, but I feel like it's better to just wait till 2 months in to say something crazy like that. Yes, and she's bad, so it's still. Wait.
I had a young lady like that before my wife, Nicole. She sometimes taps in. She's a big Tupac fan, man. And I was just like,
you sound normal to me.
Man, I like, yo, is this gonna be contentious down the road? You know what I mean? But it's just, listen, I get it, man. Some people, artists speak to certain people, but I feel like when you say Mike and Prince,
Yeah.
There's a debate there. Even if you're like,
oh no, I was leaving that alone. But yeah, I'm okay with that debate.
I'm okay with that debate. But when you start saying Biggie and Tupac, to me, I'm telling you, like, it sounds crazy to me. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I've made some bullet points to come into today's conversation. I purposely left off. I don't know if you saw the Joe Budden thing.
No. What was the Joe Budden thing?
I'm
with you, Paul.
I'm doing the thing I didn't want to do, and I'm gonna say my thing conclusively, and I'm gonna ask that you go with me on this, my conclusion on it. But like, it was one of these clickable, viral things. Hold on, let me.
Now I know the Joe Budden thing is like Latin and blacks created hip hop together.
No, that was Fat Joe. That's Fat Joe.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's the Joe Budden thing, because we talking about Tupac and Biggie. Joe Budden had something to say and said that might be true, Paul. That might be true as far as his conscientiousness was concerned, but that doesn't take away from. Nah, I'm not tripping on that. First of all, I love All Eyes on Me, but I also love death row music. It occurred at the time in my life where I was the consumer. So you can't tell me different as far as the double disc goes. And I think it's I'm gonna be controversial now. I don't want to do that.
Here we go. Be controversial.
No, I'm not even gonna do it. I saw Joe Budden on his pod says something about how, like, basically Pac would destroy. I'm paraphrasing Biggie in verses, and I'm like, yo, this feels like not allowing people to rest in peace. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't know what the walk up was. We obviously are over here talking about Tupac and stuff like that, but I guess what we're talking about with Tupac, I guess it's applicable to real time. How you felt in 1993, 94, whatever, like how I felt back then, it's applicable to real time versus saying, hey, if you take them artists and plop them into 2022's landscape where this thing called verses exists, and they definitely would qualify as versus people, how would that go? Like, I don't like that, because the idea of rest in peace is now being steamrolled, so I was like, man.
Here's another thing, Paul, I would bring to it, and this is kind of where I start to be a little bit more forgiving with Pac. He had a debt to pay. He had a debt to pay back as well when he got with Death Row. Death Row got him out of prison, and it's like all of us, if we had a crazy credit card debt, and
door in the house,
we're gonna look for the job that pays us, and in his case, the style that's going to generate the kind of finances to pay back a debt quicker to get that off. And when you start talking about Tupacalypse now and talking about the government, not only did the landscape of rap change, you didn't have the PEs and the Public Enemies and the Ice Cubes, America's Most Wanted, really pumping at that time when Death Row was pumping. You had nightclub music, and it was a different landscape in hip hop. So he was trying to pay back a debt. And I feel like his lifestyle was changing too. You know what I mean? He was in different environments too. So I try and factor all of that in, man, because I'm older now and I understand, like, for me,
this is sound.
This is for me. This is on
I'm gonna hit my light on.
Yeah. This is on a personal tip. Like, I was very, very anti DJing weddings and corporate events. Very, very anti. And then you get a wife, and you get kids, and you get bills, and you get a nice car, and you want to take trips and all of that stuff, and you start saying, damn, these weddings, they pay pretty nice, man. You know what I mean? Like, these corporate events, they writing kind of blank checks over here. Like, I think I could do a couple of these. And you paying off that debt quicker. So I feel like Pac kind of understood that, and he started writing from that perspective as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I don't think he was writing duds. I think it's still some songs in that era, that Death Row era, where he was killing it. You know, listen, man, I'm not a fan, but I'm not a hater either.
I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have the perspective that you're speaking to. The art is made. You don't have to like the art. Saying somebody trash, somebody garbage, yeah, that stuff is like that. That's when, especially if they've passed on. You know what I mean? Like if they've passed on, it's crazy. Like let that person be in peace. You know?
Yes. So all right. Go ahead.
I'm gonna shift from Joe Budden to Fat Joe now. I saw a headline. I don't know if you saw this, and I think it's at this point more or less well understood that I manage our social media voice, you know, for the homies in the room right now. And I really do try to do my best to represent both of our voices. And sometimes I get outside of that and it's like, yo, you know, but also between NIC and myself, we understand that like I'm often the voice because as the MC and the lyricist of the group, like I'm the voice, you know what I'm saying? But I try to represent both of us, you know, with that, you know, when given that responsibility. So so you may have seen that you know, the big homie Crazy Legs, OG boy, you know, like one of the founding figures or around at the founding of hip hop, right? He went on, he said something. Now, Crazy Legs, because people don't do their homework, they don't you know, value history the way that they maybe should by my standards. Crazy Legs is goes on, he just does like a kind of quick PSA thing talking about like I'm a paraphrase. It felt like I don't know who needs to hear this, but like Latinos were definitely involved at the, you know, the creation. And I gave him a lot of love on there. I gave him a lot of love. I'm like, yo, you were there. Like, this is my feeling, right? I'm telling you now, and I see it, and everybody rocking with us here. Like, you were there. Like, I'm glad you spoke on the perspective of somebody who was there in the mud as this thing sprouted out of the mud. Like, because it just should be understood. Whatever the reality is, it should be understood. I don't know what Fat Joe, I can't remember what Fat Joe said, but I saw a headline that says something like he was dragged. Hold on, let me read it real quick. Dragged on Twitter for saying both Black and Latino people started hip hop. Now, I don't know how it broke down. I don't know what the, you know, the ratio was. It could have been 80% Black folks, 20%.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
All I'm saying is, man, no. I like where you're coming from right now.
I get frustrated.
Nah, I like it. Like I'm with that. All I'm saying is like, yo, first of all, Fat Joe grew up in the Bronx in the 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. The Bronx, no less, is home to this, you know, thing that's cultivated, like, and the people that drag him on Twitter, right? I have to imagine the kids. I have to imagine they are youth, right? I have full awareness, perspective, appreciation for the fact that, like, it is predominantly a Black cultural, you know, art form, and in more than an art form. It's more than an art form. But it's just all of the elements that are comprised into making hip hop. But before it got to the place of this mega machine that it is now, listen, NIC, if you and I started, you know, something we call Baloo Bop, you know what I mean, in just on a block that we live on together, and there is a musical component of it. There is a visual artistic component of it, the equivalent of graffiti. There is a dance. These are all art forms: visual art, dance art, obviously the musical art. What am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? We DJing, another additional musical art. Like, these things all go into it. And these are just people in a neighborhood. And this neighborhood is comprised of both Black and Latino people. When you're talking about hip hop was made by Black and Latino people, it's like, that's not trolling. It's not it's not crazy. Now it's evolved away. And obviously, like, that Latino presence isn't as prominent. But trust and believe that it's still and I know I look obscure. I don't have a dog in the race, so to speak. I'm Middle Eastern, just in case somebody sees this a little bit later down the line. But I do love the history. I love diving into this kind of stuff. I don't know it all. I'm always a student. So I just want to say, like, I'm not, biased or something. I'm just an observer. Like, obviously, as the thing evolved, it, Black prominence was clear. The Latino footprint seems to have shrunk from those original days in the Bronx borough and maybe some of the surrounding boroughs. But that's a real statement said by the people who were there. So if you're gonna be from another place and this guy is a culture, like, to me, that's really crazy. And you were way out of pocket to go at Fat Joe for that, because I mean, the dude was at the parks, like, and it's not even his own testimony. It's like well corroborated by we see Joe everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just crazy to me that, like, everybody just feels the need to make their voice, heard and just say something. But even if we take it to the West Coast, right? And I'm not gonna, like, raise, like, Kid Frost and things like that, but, like, if you listen to the articles from, or not articles, but interviews and things like that from a Snoop, from a Q, from the legends out here, when they talk about the Lolos, when they talk about the hydraulics, the 6.4s and all that, they make that very clear that these are things that were, lovingly co-opted or whatever, however you want to put it. I don't mean to say that it was just, like, snatched or whatever, but these are things that were appreciated and taken in a sense from Latino culture out here, in LA. So it's like, I don't know. It just,
I would love to see who he was getting dragged by.
They were pedestrian people. They were pedestrian.
Was it predominantly Black culture or whatever? Because if it was a lot of Black people coming out and dragging Fat Joe,
it was from what I saw.
So, and we got to stop that, man. We really got to stop that, because I feel like hip hop sprang up from I'm trying to think of a better word to say this, but from depravity and poverty, and there was a minority group in there that was all mingled together. If anything, man, we're fighting the same fight, and this is to me on some divide and conquer type BS, man. It's like, man, there was Latin people there and there was Black people there, and the fact is, we was both living in some very, very crappy environments. You know what I mean? And that art sprang up from that, not having funding for school music programs and all of that stuff, and youth centers, being shut down, and the poverty that was happening in the Bronx at that time. So to me, we got ingenious, both Black and Latin people, and we figured out a way to create a movement, a culture, and entertainment from lack, from not having. And we got together, and maybe the Latins brought more of the hip hop b-boy aspect to it, and maybe the Blacks brought more of the MC DJing component to it. Maybe the Latins brought more of the graffiti aspect to it. There's so many, like you said, there's so many parts to this culture we call hip hop now. No one culture can say we created all of these aspects of what hip hop is today. And we got to stop that, man. I look at it like I liken it to being in a marriage.
Mm.
And my wife and I, we accomplished something.
Mm.
I'm never going to say, oh, no, I did this. I did this. You know what I mean? Like only me, only praise me. You know what I mean? Or my wife gets pregnant and she's like, no, I did this. I did this by myself. My wife is going to say, we're pregnant. We're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the same thing. We did this. We bought a home together. We bought a home together.
Mm-hmm.
We did this. We went out and we accomplished this goal. When you look at what hip hop is today, both Blacks and Latino communities can equally say, we built this. We built this and look what it turned into. You know what I mean? Like, I think we got to stop that, man, because I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. If it was a bunch of African-American people bucking on Fat Joe, we got to embrace that and say, yeah, we did all collectively come together. Both of us came together and we created something that's historic.
Yeah, well said. There wasn't like this. The stakes weren't like this. Hip hop wasn't the belle of the ball when it was actually being made. It was a subculture. It was in the underbelly. It was not like, like if you got something dope, you might be like, yo, let's just keep this to us. Whatever us means. It could be you and your wife. It could be you and your friends. It could be you and your culture. But whatever it is, it's like, yo, let's keep. I don't even think I wasn't there. But again, I do like to delve into the stories a lot, that are told through documentary and things like that. I don't think it was a situation where it's like, yo, let's keep like, no, it's like, who wants to get down? Like, who wants to get down right now? Right. What are you going to bring to the competitive battlefield? Are you nice on the decks? Are you nice as a lyricist? Are you nice as a b-boy? Are you nice with the can? That's really it. Those are the qualifications. Go watch Beat Street. I mean, like there's not like necessarily like an exclusive representation on there. And again, it wasn't this money enterprise that it's like, yo, we got to keep this over here. Like it was like, it's just like a cultural movement in the most pure sense. And I think you just got to respect, you know what it is, Paul? You just have to respect the viewpoint of a Fat Joe, of a Crazy Legs, both guys from the Bronx, both guys who probably rub elbows with, the OG Kool Herc, you know what I mean? Like
Africa Bambaataa, all of that, yeah.
All of them. Like it's the Bronx, you know what I mean? You have to just respect and you pay homage to like where this thing started. And yeah, I just think it's a little out of pocket. And also understanding the spectrum of culture, especially as it relates to like, again, I don't want to sound like like this is like I've come from some expert place. This is a layman's person point of view, a pedestrian point of view, but I do understand there are Afro Latinos and they and probably somewhere in all of the scheme of like New York and the migration from the Dominican and the Puerto Rican and stuff like that mass migration into New York, that maybe that next generation who looks and presents as Black gets identified as such, but the parents are like Latino, like Spanish is their primary language and all that, and they got people in the community that look maybe more like Fat Joe, and then they commingle, and then the community does like this, like it just like, I don't know, in my head it's like if I think about this on a granular level, if I think about this on more of like just a human level, it just makes sense to me to say, yo, the Bronx comprised mostly where it was happening in the Bronx. Obviously, there's probably another side of the Bronx where Yankee Stadium is and that kind of thing. But like where we're talking about hip hop's development, to NIC's point, it's like it's probably cohabitated in that space between Black and Latino residents, and they're probably all just getting along because kids just want to play. Like I had all different kind of friends growing up because we all just wanted to play. That was the last thought that we had in our mind. We just wanted to play.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's because Dora brings up a good point. She says anyone who denies Latinos' influence in hip hop culture, particularly Puerto Ricans, doesn't know hip hop. And there was a Jamaican influence that gets overlooked too.
Yo, Ice is a legend in the spot.
What up, Ice? And hip hop heads are second generation Jamaican. Cool Herc.
Cool Herc's Jamaican.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why Black folks got to stop doing. And that's why I don't know if it was just Black folks lashing out at Fat Joe, but I'm just saying, like, if it was predominantly Black folks that was lashing out at Fat Joe for saying that Puerto Ricans and blacks collectively started, hip hop, Black folks got to be very, very, very cautious about trying to, because then if you're saying Kool Herc was the person who really, really brought it to the forefront like that, he's second generation Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
So then what starts happening is, how Jamaicans and Black folks get down. Like, Jamaicans sometimes don't want to be affiliated with Black, but they be like, no, we're not Black, we Jamaican. So you start this isolation, and you start to build up these arbitrary walls and borders and segregation, and you actually start nixing yourself out of the mix collectively, out of the story. And to me, I'm like, let's integrate that. Let's say that we all had a hand in the pot to make hip hop a better version of itself, man. Like, where would we be? And listen, now I might get in some trouble too, but like, honestly, where would hip hop be without the Beastie Boys? Where would hip hop be without some of these, we got Ice here, but Filipinos,
man, in LA,
like, come on, man, like, we got to start including these people, because once they start to feel like they're not a part of hip hop, then they start saying like, all right, well, y'all don't want to accept me, we're gonna go over here and do this. And like, I want hip hop to be, it's always been an embracive culture. It's always been, it was supposed to be a unifying, as we talk about United Republic of Funk, it was always supposed to be a unifying culture, not an exclusionary culture. And that goes with, I'm gonna get on a soapbox here, but even when we listen to music today, when you're
Ice,
champions,
he knows what it is.
when you're a crate digger, and when you're a beat maker, all DJs know, man. We wanted to go to those eclectic crates. We wanted to go to these jazz samples. We wanted to go to these rock samples. We wanted to go outside, because that's what hip hop was. It was taking the dopest parts of other genres of music and making it inclusive and putting our own signature on it. Yes, exactly. It was a melting pot. So whenever I hear people start to exclude people, oh man, that's not hip hop over there. That's not. It's like, man, you're actually doing a disservice to hip hop, because we are the one art form and the one culture, when we talk about hip hop as a culture, that is embracive of everyone. It's not like country. Country is like, nah, we country. Yeah. We are country. We don't want y'all in our mix.
Yeah.
Hip hop is like, yo, I can find a country song and sample it and make it hip hop. That's the beauty of hip hop.
Man, you think about Rick.
Sorry
Rubin.
about that. I had to get on the little.
No, don't be
passionate about that.
Listen, I think this thing is important, and I think it's okay to say, like, I think everything should be factually, just our fact checked, or however you would voice that, right? But like, to say this stems from, Afro beats at its roots, I think that's pure. And I think that checks out my understanding, and through the testimonies that I've heard, again, through my like own deep dives and my experience with it, like, I think that's fine. Now, that's part of the element. That's part of the development of this thing. It's like, but those things also existed, to Dora's point, in the Caribbean at large. So not only Jamaica, but also Puerto Rico, and so on and so forth, right? Now, Puerto Rico, this is where you start to get the commingling. You get folks that look like Fat Joe, You get folks that look like Nori. You know what I mean? So that's just I think what happens now. You're creating a sound bed based on this sort of foundational thing, this root point, like, and then I just think it's important to understand like how it's all evolved, where it's all evolved from. And then when you get to somewhere where it's like this movement is happening at the same time as the punk movement, and these are all just rebellion occurring in the big city of New York, right? Then you get a kid like Rick Rubin who then connects with, I mean, before it was Russell Simmons. I forgot it. Man, it was somebody else.
Well, his first song was T-La Rock with T-La Rock.
It was T-La Rock, and they were just, yo, come on through here. I got a 4-track. I got a dorm at NYU. You sound great. This hip hop thing sounds great. Let's do it. And again, it was not sexy enough for people to latch onto. It wasn't the notion of like vulturing it didn't exist. It was people just wanting to express themselves through this new avenue, right? When I was freestyling growing up, I was an anomaly, and I love being an anomaly. Like when I was just like the Persian kid, like, yo, we got bars off top, like that's crazy. But I was like by myself, you know what I mean? Like where I live, where I grew up, it was quiet, suburban, it was whatever. So it was just like, yo, this is different. I loved being different. Hip hop made me feel good for being different. It was not like, I don't know. There are vultures. I just hate that it's just tossed around so loosely.
I think it's just me personally. I think why I get so passionate and it may even come across a little bit angry, because I think that it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous for the culture and to advance the culture from even where it is now. And I hope that hip hop continues to advance, but it's dangerous when we start doing this exclusionary type stuff. I've always been one that said, man, it's good. Look, man, hip hop hasn't always been great. There's some whack rappers out there. I'll refrain from naming any whack rappers, but we got to accept that too. We got to accept when there was a Tribe Called Quest going on in that golden era, there was some whack cats.
I thought you were about to say a name.
No,
when the Tribe Called Quest going on, was going on too.
Yeah, it was somebody else going on out there that we did that didn't, again. And I feel like over time, those people get forgotten about, as they should. The cream always rises to the top. We're always going to remember Tribe Called Quest because they were great. We're always going to remember Rakim because he was great, But when Rakim was out, there was some whack. I mean, like when you watch,
always.
Yeah, so I just feel like, man, but you don't have to go out of your way to exclude those people. They're going to exclude themselves at a certain point. So I just feel like it's dangerous, man, when you start excluding stuff that you don't like, or not that, these black people didn't like Latinos, but I'm just saying, like, we don't like it when it's done to us. We don't like it when we edit it out of history. We don't like it when we edit out of the contributions that we've made. And I'm not even talking about hip hop now. I'm talking about with inventions and how we're talking about this critical race theory, because black people in general have been edited out of their contributions in society. And so,
my wife and I, along with a third party friend, we try, we put efforts and took measures towards before the notion of critical race theory even existed. We had been trying to apply it here. We called it Black Education Matters because of the value of Black contributors to this development of what is America, and for it to be understood and to appreciate and to humanize against this notion of like Black lives mattering, right? So we wanted to humanize and make it clear, and we in our internal home discussions, we looked at it and said, well, it starts at the developmental level, right? The formative years of these children where they're more spongy, because, once you start drawing these hard lines and stuff like that, I don't know what the age is. I'm not psychologically inclined like that. I don't know if you're 17 or 19 or 24 or whatever, but at some point you're like, it's like this, it's like me and mine and all that. But when you're a kid, again, and if you're a kid and it's like, hey, I want to play hopscotch, and another kid's like, I want to play hopscotch too. It's like, I don't think you're aware of what that kid looks like. You're like, great, let's play some hopscotch, And then at the same time, if you're absorbing books, if you're absorbing information, even the kindergarten level book where the protagonist is let's say a black girl, right? But she's your protagonist. She's the one telling you, I brush my teeth at night. I, say a prayer. I do the things that are good. You know what I mean? Like, except instead of a rosy cheek, white kid or whatever, it's like, so we were trying to implement that. It's important, man. It's important that everybody be seen, recognized accurately, appreciated accurately. Listen, when Fat Joe and Crazy Legs say, that they Puerto Rican selves were a part of this thing, they were a part of this thing. And it's a shame that I came across this headline of them being quote unquote dragged. In fact, I saw yesterday was Fat Joe got dragged. Today was Grandmaster Caz weighed in and held Fat Joe and Crazy Legs down. It didn't say it like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it's just like, yeah, like he started the shot. Joe Conzo took the baby pictures of hip hop. That's like the OG photographer of hip hop, right? Like they were in the thick of it. Like, and then shouting out DJs, shouting out breakers, shouting out MCs. Like, this is coming from Grandmaster Caz, who is probably the first like supreme lyricist, supreme lyrical MC.
Man, he's responsible for writing the first pop hip hop song.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, listen, it's like Dora saying, she said, they're a primary source to history and formation of hip hop culture. Oh, exactly, man. And again, like when you tell the truth, when you tell the 100% authentic truth, the lie disappears. It vanishes, man. And then you don't need a Black History Month. You don't need you don't need to draw attention to these specific things, because you're just teaching history in its entirety, the way that it unfolds. You don't need to even bring, if we just talk the contributions of Black people in history, then we don't need a Black History Month, because these kids grow up knowing that Black people were an integral part of our history.
Absolutely.
When we include Latinos in their contribution to hip hop, then we don't have to say, hey, Latinos was there in the beginning. It's like, nah, man.
That's real.
Just tell the truth. Like,
give due propers, and the rest is history.
Yeah, like, man, and the reality of it is, if you're secure with yourself, here's an Icy Ice. I don't know if Icy Ice is still here with us, but this is what I love about Icy Ice. He's so comfortable with who he is. He's like, put me on anytime. I'll open, I'll close, I'll go in the middle.
Facts.
You play something, I'll play something different. It's just, he's comfortable. You know why? Because he's comfortable with the fact that he's just a good ass DJ.
Good ass DJ.
You know what I mean? Like, you do whatever you're gonna do. I'm gonna find my lane. I'm gonna find my way. And so I feel like if we're confident and comfortable with our contribution to what we added to hip hop, and what we were there at the formation of hip hop, we're not going to be insecure, intimidated by anybody else saying like, yeah, we was there too. Like, yeah, I know we was all there. Like, that's just the truth of the story. It's the truth of the matter. So I just, I feel like those comments come from somebody that's insecure, that's not comfortable in the fact that, you can't do that, man. We gotta stop doing that.
It's that thing that makes me lament everybody having a voice, because I don't know who the people were. I can't remember their names. Maybe they had some weight and cachet on Twitter. Maybe they didn't. I didn't dive into it deeply enough to see, but it was enough to get Hip Hop DX's attention, for Hip Hop DX and all of their platform, all of their following, to say Fat Joe, and the word was drag. So when I put the quotes around drag, it's like, I'm like, yo, we're doing this. Okay. You know, it's
look,
like, yeah. All right. I guess, you know,
that thinking has also done a disservice to the culture when it comes to old school versus new school rappers, because old school hip hop cats were always like, this new rap is whack. Then the young rappers were like, well, y'all old school cats is whack. And now they don't want to work together. You'll never see KRS-One on a 42 Doug, track. Not that, but I'm just saying, like, so now the younger rappers like, yo, y'all don't want to give us our respect for being creatives and advancing the culture to a new rap flow or cadence. So later for y'all old cats, y'all old anyway. And it's and that's why, you know what I mean? Like when you talk about country and when you talk about rock, you'll have a new rock group and they'll do a song with an old rock group and they'll collab and they'll try and advance the culture. And I mean, we kill ourselves like that as a culture when we start. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna rewind a sec. So what you were saying about Pac and just understanding full perspective. Every great popular music genre, maybe there's an exception that I'm not thinking of, but from whatever I've studied, and I did study this at the university level too, quick flex. It was the brainchild of Black culture, Black American culture. Country included, of course, bluegrass, of course, rock and roll, of course, jazz, of course, hip hop, of course, rhythm and blues. Like, there's no exception in this. I do appreciate and understand somebody who having that perspective and saying, yo, we need to make sure like that doesn't get lost in all of it. I do understand that. But to steer it back to what you were saying, like, whoever was there was there. You know what I mean? Like, whoever was there at the park, like, it's crazy to me because, Crazy Legs, like, I've had the pleasure of speaking to dude. Like, and you've had the pleasure of speaking to dude. Separate instances and occasions, but he's so round the way and he's not a household name. But Crazy Legs, like, he's like a pioneer. He's a real pioneer of hip hop. And that's like really an incredible, that's the part to me that's an incredible. I'm like, yo, I can't believe you were there. Tell me a story. You know what I mean? Like, light the campfire and tell me a story. I want to know what was going on, like, when the Rocksteady crew faced up again. You know what I mean? Like, tell me the story, because that's incredible to me. Not like the story you're telling me is false or fake. Like, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen the people, the movies, they're available to us. We can actually watch it all happen,
And Dora, that's just crazy. That's crazy. Because she said in that article, people are calling Fat Joe racist for his statement. Like,
yeah, I saw the vulture thing.
Call him a vulture, saying he's trying to steal hip hop from Black. Like, no, he's just trying to say we was in the room too.
I saw the vulture thing, and it's just it's a little disappointing, Some we just got to give our due praise. Like, listen, Ice seems to be in the house. When we talk about LA hip hop, you cannot exclude the Beat Junkies from the conversation. Like, you just can't. Like, it's a part of the conversation that cultivated all of this, whatever LA hip hop. You can't think about LA hip hop and its development without Theo. Say what you will about Pac, and that goes for you too, Paul. Say what you will about Pac, but he shout out Theo and his. Yeah, we all know Pac. His platform is that. You know what I mean? He's shouting out Theo. I think Theo was Japanese. I don't know. I can't remember what he was, but like,
what's somebody help me out with the back in
this,
the K Day in the K Day era with Uncle Jam's Army or whatever. Like they used to throw the big jams, you know, before. I mean, this is in the early days of LA hip hop. You know what I mean? They would have the LA Dream Team and all of that stuff like that. So now and those cats came before the Beat Junkies, right?
Mm.
But this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, it doesn't take anything away from the LA Dream Team and Uncle Jam's Army.
Does not.
By giving credit to the Beat Junkies.
Nah, NWA sounds just as good. Ice-T sounds just as good.
As that torch was passed through the generations, and even what Icy Ice was doing with the Legends and whatnot, you know, his thing, and they was throwing some big jams back in the day for the Filipino community, and you know, but I'm sure there was more than just Filipino people coming to them jams, but they was massive, man. You're talking about thousands of people. So it's like, come on, man, like, it doesn't hurt you if you're secure in the imprint that you laid and what you contributed in your time slot in your era, then you're not going to be offended by anybody else who came along during that path and added something else, added another building block on it. So again, we got to stop that. I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous talk. I think, you know what I mean? I think you start to exclude people. I feel like you're not telling the authentic story no more. You're trying to manipulate it to make your part more important and somebody else's part less important. And if we all in the same room, we all contributing,
man,
just give credit where credit is due.
Like the Green Eyed Bandit, the legendary Eric Sermon said, to have black and white vibe in one room, it's just a sensation. And Marvin Gaye, just like music, man, like, it's just a music thing, man. It's supposed to be love. We're supposed to be enjoying together, and to that end, I'm you know, like I said, I'm Persian guy, Middle Eastern guy. Like, I recognize what it is, and I have eyes and I have ears and I got my sensibilities, so I don't discredit. Like, I have so much respect and value, like, and I see your culture, you know what I'm saying, like Black culture and what it's created and what it's really been on the forefront of, you know, predominantly on the forefront of as far as hip hop is concerned. When I say forefront, I mean that in the context of Fat Joe saying, like, hey, we were in it too from the gates, like we were in it too. Got all that respect, you know what I mean? But it's beautiful to be able to share it together, to your point.
Yeah, man. It's the one thing that unifies us. It's the one thing that breaks down barriers. It's one thing that breaks down cultural barriers. It breaks down music is a unifier. So when I hear people and see people trying to make it a divisive thing, it irritates me, because it's the one thing that literally, like when Run DMC and Aerosmith collabed to do Walk This Way, that was groundbreaking in suburban white kids really embracing and accepting hip hop culture and saying, oh, this thing can work together. We can work together. I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe, you know, that was their first experience with hip hop or listening to a hip hop record. And then that's the gateway for them to start to explore and dig deeper into what hip hop is really about. So I just feel like, again, man, I don't like this talk. I feel like it's dangerous, and that's not what Earth Tone is about.
Do it with love, lead with love, and recognize those who do it with integrity, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, again, I do think vulturing happens, but there's a lot of people who just come from a pure place, and hopefully those that do come from a pure place can be appreciated as such, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, so and there's a full article. Dang, Dora got into it. She got into it. I just go off the headlines. They cleared that up. That's good. That's what's up. That's what's up. I mean, listen. Grandmaster Caz already said it. So I don't know who wrote that article. I can't imagine that they were, you know, around in 1978 in the Bronx. If they were, my apologies. But if Grandmaster Caz tell you it was like this, it was like this. And it doesn't need to come from Grandmaster Caz. If Crazy Legs tells you it's like this, it's like this. If Fat Joe tells you it's like this, it's like this. So appreciate it, man. Like, give the flowers, allow people to smell the flowers, appreciate it. That's good. I'm glad we had the conversation. This was a scintillating one, man. We got into spicy things. I can't, I see you backing Eminem on the verse that I'm like, nah, I don't know about it. There's a lot of shit went upside down this week, but that made it fun. Yes, Dora. That's what's up. All right. We're gonna call it for this week, and we will be back at it with full gusto. What do you say? We're going to New York. Oh man.
Yeah,
I'll be in New York in 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna make it, but that sounds dope though.
Hey, before we get out of here, should we the Dennis Blaze project? Should we?
Oh yeah,
you definitely check that out.
Okay, Dennis Blaze put down a real nice mixtape with Radio Raymond T. It was a San Diego thing for sure. Jay.
Paul is just trying to like before we leave, we exiting out. He just trying to he loading up the clip. Like, let me just throw this.
Nobody said otherwise, bro. Listen, did you catch the top of the show or something? I don't know where that's coming from. That feels like a swing. I feel like you threw a punch right now. Dennis Blaze, Radio Raymond T. Put it down. Real nice collection of artists. Real nice mix by the DJ himself, Dennis Blaze. We are honored to have been reached out to be able to participate. And we did what we do. So go check that out. Go check the Instagram out if you haven't seen it. There's links and a whole, breadcrumbs and all that you can follow back to the main thing, or just check out Dennis Blaze. And the rest is history. Good work. And NIC, glad you back safe. Glad you and Rachel are back safe. Paul, Dora, Icy Ice, everyone who's in the spot, we appreciate you. Diva, we appreciate you. Real Ones this Sunday. I am more than likely there. NIC, as we know, conflicted with the work. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next Tuesday. Peace out.